Okay, so today we're going for a deep dive,
Hmm?
and this one is particularly interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We're asking a question that sounds a little bit uh, paradoxical, on the surface.
Yeah.
How did gladiators celebrate Christmas?
Mm.
And, you've got a whole stack of sources there on ancient Roman traditions.
Right.
And let's just say things are about to get a little weird.
The interesting thing here is that Christmas, as we know it, didn't exist back then.
Right.
But the Romans, they had a big celebration that was happening right around the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was this festival called Saturnalia.
Saturnalia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And as we're going to see, it's got some surprising echoes in our own modern holiday celebrations.
So the sources tell us that December 25th was already a big party day for the Romans.
Yeah.
Way before Christmas came along.
Right.
Saturnalia, what was that all about? What were they celebrating?
It was a week-long festival honoring Saturn, the Roman god of agriculture, and it marked the end of the harvest season. So it's kind of like a massive ancient Roman Thanksgiving,
Oh, okay.
but with a lot more revelry involved.
Okay, so let's just try to picture this,
Sure.
houses decked out with wreaths and evergreen plants, just like we do today.
Right.
But instead of twinkling lights, they've got torches and candles burning.
Yeah,
That must have created quite the atmosphere.
it must have.
Speaking of similarities, does that have any connection to the Advent candles that we light today?
It's possible. Yeah, the use of evergreen plants in both Saturnalia and in Christmas,
Yeah.
is thought to symbolize the persistence of life through the winter.
Oh, okay.
And the flickering lights, whether they were torches or candles, they might represent the hope for the sun's return after the solstice.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing how these ancient symbols just kind of resonate through time,
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
The sources mention a lot of eating and drinking, games and singing and storytelling during Saturnalia.
Yep.
Sounds like my kind of holiday.
Yeah.
But aside from the fun and games, what can these festivities tell us about Roman attitudes towards leisure and social norms?
Right.
Was it just a free-for-all?
Well, Saturnalia was definitely a time for letting loose,
Okay.
but it was also about temporarily inverting the social order.
What do you mean?
So, like, masters would serve their slaves, gambling was permitted,
Wow.
social hierarchies were momentarily put aside.
Mhm.
So it suggests, a really complex interplay between celebration, social release, and maybe even, a bit of anxiety about the rigid structure of Roman society.
So it makes you wonder if those role reversals actually had any lasting impact on the social dynamics.
Yeah.
Did anything change after the week of partying was over?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something that historians still debate.
Okay.
It's unlikely that it led to any fundamental shifts in Roman society,
Yeah.
but it gives us a glimpse into their values and, maybe even some underlying social tensions that were there.
The sources even suggest that Christmas might have been intentionally created to kind of tame the wildness of Saturnalia.
Yeah.
So what aspects of Saturnalia were seen as needing to be civilized?
Well, that's an interesting theory as Christianity spread.
Yeah.
Some people saw the excesses of Saturnalia, the gambling, the temporary suspension of moral codes, as conflicting with Christian values. So establishing Christmas on that same date, December 25th,
Right.
might have been a way to channel those ancient traditions into a more, structured and morally acceptable celebration.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the social and religious aspects of Saturnalia.
Sure.
Was there any impact on the Roman economy? Was this a time of economic boom or bust?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a perspective we often overlook, but Saturnalia was a time of increased spending, gift-giving travel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it likely provided a boost to certain sectors of the Roman economy, especially those related to food entertainment, luxury goods.
Right.
But, there could have been downsides, too.
Sure.
The disruption to normal work routines could have impacted productivity, and the emphasis on indulgence might have strained resources for some.
So back to our original question about gladiators.
Yeah.
Were they out there partying with everyone else? Or were they exempt from the festivities?
Well, the sources we have don't specifically mention gladiators in connection with Saturnalia,
Okay.
but it's logical to assume that they would have participated, you know?
Yeah.
Remember that gladiators were a part of Roman society.
Right.
They weren't just isolated warriors.
Right.
They probably had their own ways of celebrating, you know, maybe with their fellow gladiators, maybe with their sponsors, who knows?
It's pretty amazing to think how something as familiar as Christmas, you know,
Right.
has such deep and kind of unexpected roots in this ancient Roman festival.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, what aspects of our modern Christmas celebrations will still be resonating, you know, thousands of years from now? Will future historians be analyzing the significance of our gift-giving traditions or the symbolism of Santa Claus?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening,
Thanks, everyone.
and we'll catch you next time.